They laughed when he walked in, thinking he was just another delivery guy who got lost on his way out. But by the end of that day, the same men who ignored him were begging for his opinion, because he did in 5 minutes what 20 engineers couldn't do in 6 months. It was supposed to be an ordinary day for Marcus, a 28-year-old delivery driver for a logistics company in Houston. He'd been up since dawn, his truck loaded with shipments for a high-tech robotics facility known for its secrecy and cutting-edge experiments. Marcus didn't know much about what went on inside, and frankly, he didn't care. He was just there to drop off 6 heavy crates marked Fragile Chioentines and sign the digital sheet. The building was sleek and glassy, surrounded by barbed wire and cameras, the kind of place you only see in tech magazines. The guard at the front barely looked up, scanning Marcus's ID, then waving him through without a word. Marcus whistled as he drove through the gate. Man, what are they building in there? A time machine, he chuckled. Inside the loading dock, he was met by a stern man in a lab coat who didn't even introduce himself. Just leave the boxes there, he barked. We're behind schedule already. Marcus, used to being overlooked, kept quiet and stacked the crates neatly. But curiosity tugged at him when he saw a group of engineers huddled near a large, half-assembled machine. They were arguing in tense voices, pointing at diagrams on tablets and shaking their heads. One of them, a woman with her hair in a tight bun, looked close to tears. Another threw down a wrench in frustration. Still can't get the core module to sync, one muttered. We're running out of time. It's the alignment. I told you. If we can't recalibrate the axis, the stabilizer will never hold, said another. Marcus, who had always loved puzzles and spent his nights reading mechanical schematics for fun, felt something stir in his gut. He wasn't just a delivery guy. He'd once dreamed of becoming an engineer, but dropped out of college after his mom fell sick, and he had to work to support his family. But the love for design, for making things work, never left him. He watched silently as they debated. Then he noticed something small, but glaring to his trained eyes, a misalignment in the gear chain, so minor it was almost invisible. But it would definitely throw off the timing. His mind began racing. He hesitated. This wasn't his place. He wasn't hired to think, just to deliver. But something in him said, "Speak." "Oh, excuse me," he said, stepping forward. The room went silent. All eyes turned. A few engineers looked confused. One scoffed. "Can we help you?" the man in the lab coat asked, his tone dripping with condescension. "I don't mean interrupt, but I think I see what might be going wrong," Marcus said, pointing toward the exposed section of the machine. "That gear. See the third one from the left? It's misaligned by 0.5 millimeter. That's enough to throw the whole system out of sync, especially if you're relying on rotational accuracy." There was a pause, a long one. Then laughter. Not all of them, but enough to sting. "You think we haven't checked that?" One man scoffed. The woman with the bun stepped forward, frowning. "Wait, he might be right." She walked to the machine, leaned in, and examined the gear Marcus pointed to. Her eyes widened. She motioned to a colleague. "Get me a caliper." They measured. The room fell into stunned silence. "He's right," she said. "It's off." Exactly what he said. Suddenly, the mood shifted. "Who are you again?" the lab coat man asked. "Marcus." "Delivery," he said simply. "Well, Marcus, he said slowly. Would you care to explain how you noticed that? Marcus shrugged. Just a hunch. I like to fix things in my spare time. I used to study engineering before I had to drop out. Now there was no laughter, just stunned looks. Someone handed him a tablet. Show us, the woman said. If you've got other suggestions, we want to hear them. Marcus stepped forward, unsure but determined. He looked at the schematic. You're trying to align 3 rotational modules using a single feedback loop. That's unstable without a secondary dampening system. Try adding a passive magnetic stabilizer here. He pointed. Route the failover circuit through a tertiary node. That should fix the delay issue. One of the engineers stared at him. How did we miss that? Another whispered. We've had teams working on this for months. The woman looked at Marcus with new respect. Can you stay a while? Marcus blinked. I guess my route can wait. They handed him tools. They watched as he adjusted the components with steady hands. The machine hummed, then glowed. The screen flashed green for the first time in weeks. Applause broke out. The lab coat man was silent, but his expression said it all. He had underestimated someone who turned out to be a genius in disguise. And Marcus. He just smiled and said, sometimes all it takes is a fresh pair of eyes. The machine came to life with a low, smooth hum, a sound so perfect and stable that the entire room froze in stunned silence. Then came the beeps, steady and rhythmic, as the diagnostic screen scrolled down a checklist of green lights. Everything that had been failing for months was now working, just like that. The woman with the bun stared at Marcus, blinking like she couldn't believe what she was seeing. Do you even realize what you just did? She whispered. Marcus rubbed the back of his neck. I just saw something off and thought I'd try fixing it. You didn't just fix a glitch. You solved a problem that's been plaguing our R&D division for half a year. Another engineer said, walking around the machine in disbelief. 20 of us, engineers with PhDs, couldn't figure this out. The tension in the room had flipped on its head. Where there was once skepticism and mockery, now there was awe. Even the lab coat man, who had looked down his nose at Marcus earlier, had to swallow his pride. Let's take 5, the woman said, motioning the team away from the machine. She turned to Marcus. Can I have a word with you privately? They walked into a nearby glass-walled conference room. She offered him a seat and poured him a glass of water before sitting across from him. I'm Dr. Lena Hargrove, she said. Lead systems engineer for Project Talon, that machine you just fixed. It's the prototype core of a multi-million-dollar autonomous drone system. It's supposed to revolutionize search and rescue operations. Faster, smarter, more accurate. But until today, it was a very expensive paperweight. Marcus nodded slowly. Didn't mean to step on anyone's toes. You didn't. You saved us, Lena replied. We were about to report a major failure to our investors. That might have tanked the entire project. I'm glad I could help, Marcus said, though his voice carried hesitation. He wasn't used to praise. Definitely not from people in lab coats. She leaned forward. I want to know more about you. How does a delivery driver walk into our facility and solve a problem like this in 5 minutes? Marcus gave a small, tired laugh. I studied mechanical engineering at Prairie View A&M. Got through 2.5 years before my mom got sick. Cancer. Bills piled up, so I dropped out and started working. took whatever jobs I could. Driving paid the most consistent. Lena nodded solemnly. I'm sorry about your mom. She's better now, Marcus replied. Still recovering, but we're managing. And you just kept learning? She asked, impressed. I never stopped, he said. Read journals on my breaks, watched online courses, downloaded schematics for fun, even built a few drone kits in my garage. There was a pause. Then Lena said something that made his heart stop. Would you be open to working here? Not as a delivery guy, on the engineering team. Marcus blinked. Are you serious? Dead serious, she said. What you did today, it's more than technical knowledge. You think in a way that's rare. That intuitive eye for detail, coupled with your humility, that's something we need more of. Before Marcus could respond, the glass door burst open. A stern-looking man in a navy suit walked in, flanked by two assistants. He glanced around, confused to see Marcus in the meeting. Dr. Hargrove, I need an update on Talon. Investors are on a call in 10, he said brusquely. Lena smiled. Perfect timing, Mr. Gallows. I'd like you to meet Marcus. Marcus? The man frowned. Who is he, and why is he in here? He just fixed the drone core, she said flatly. The timing issue. The one 20 of us couldn't solve. He nailed it in minutes. Gallows turned to Marcus, his eyes narrowing in suspicion. You're the delivery driver. I am, Marcus said, standing up. But I also studied engineering before life got in the way. Gallows wasn't impressed. This is a secure facility. We can't have unvetted civilians messing with our prototypes. Sir. Lena interrupted firmly. Without him, the prototype would still be dead. He didn't hack anything. He helped, and he did it better than any of us. The room tensed. Marcus stepped forward. Look, I didn't come here to cause problems. I was just doing my job when I saw something wrong. I asked if I could help. That's it. Gallows eyed him, then Lena, then back to Marcus. His jaw clenched, but he finally said, I want a full report on how this happened. Who authorized it? Everything. Then he left as quickly as he came. Lena sighed. Ignore him. He's all politics. Marcus smiled faintly. I should probably get going. Got 3 more stops today. Wait, she said. Please, don't leave just yet. Let me run this up the chain. I want you back here. Marcus nodded but said nothing. Deep down, he didn't believe anything would come of it. Offers like that didn't happen to people like him. As he walked back to his truck, several engineers stopped him to shake his hand. One even asked for his number. Another offered to buy him lunch. For the first time in years, Marcus felt seen. Not just as a worker, but as a mind, a talent, a problem solver. And while he pulled away from the sleek facility, the gears in his own mind were turning again. Maybe this wasn't a one-time miracle. Maybe this was the start of something new. The next morning, Marcus was back in his delivery truck, cruising down Highway 290 with his usual coffee cup resting in the center console and the day's manifests stacked on the passenger seat. The radio played soft jazz, and for a while, everything felt normal. But his mind kept drifting back to yesterday, back to the lab, the stunned faces, the moment the machine came alive. He hadn't told anyone yet. Not his mom, not his little sister, not even his best friend Jamal. He didn't know how to say it. Hey, I walked into a high-tech facility yesterday, solved a multi-million-dollar problem, and now they want to offer me a job. It sounded like a fantasy. Halfway through his second delivery, Marcus's phone buzzed. Unknown number. He parked and picked it up. Hello, Marcus. It's Dr. Hargrove. His heart jumped. Oh, hi. Yeah, good morning. Listen, are you available to stop by the facility this afternoon? There's someone from our executive board who wants to meet you. Marcus hesitated. I still have a few routes to finish. I understand, she said, but if you can make it, I think it's worth your time. You've made an impression. After a moment, Marcus said okay. I'll be there. He rescheduled his stops, changed into the cleanest shirt he had in the truck, and pulled up to the facility by 3:00 p.m. This time, the security guard greeted him by name. Inside, Lena was waiting with a tall, elegant woman in a dark blazer. She had sharp eyes, confident posture, and an air of authority that said she made decisions people didn't question. This is Ms. Dana Caldwell, Lena said, VP of Engineering Operations. Dana extended her hand. So you're the young man everyone's talking about. I guess so, Marcus said, shaking her hand. They walked into a different conference room, this one with a wide screen showing drone schematics and real-time diagnostics. Dana gestured for Marcus to sit. Dr. Hargrove briefed me. I reviewed the footage. I also spoke with our CTO this morning. You have a good eye. Thank you, Marcus said, cautious. I want to be clear, she continued. We don't normally entertain offers like this without a background check, credentials, interviews, vetting, but your performance yesterday disrupted all that. Marcus shifted in his seat. I spoke to our legal department. If you're interested, we'd like to offer you a probationary engineering assistant role. Full pay benefits, on-site mentorship. One condition, you enroll part-time in a degree. Completion program. We'll fund it. For a second, Marcus just stared. Why me? He finally asked. There are probably 100 candidates with better resumes. Dana smiled. Resumes don't fix broken prototypes. You did. He swallowed hard. What's the catch? No catch. We invest in potential. You showed it. Brilliantly. Marcus looked to Lena, who nodded in encouragement. I'd be honored, he said quietly. Dana stood and extended her hand again. Welcome aboard. The next few weeks were a whirlwind. Marcus traded his delivery uniform for a work badge and engineering lab coat. He started at the bottom, taking notes, observing tests, helping troubleshoot hardware. But it didn't take long before people started coming to him with real problems. Word spread fast. The guy who used to deliver packages was now solving technical issues seasoned engineers had overlooked. He was humble but sharp, soft-spoken but impossible to ignore. Then came the day Marcus was asked to present in a team meeting. The pressure was intense. He had worked late into the night, refining his data on Talon's new guidance system. When he finally stood in front of the group, slides loaded, hands a little shaky, no one interrupted. They listened. They asked questions. And when he finished, there was silence, followed by genuine applause. Afterward, Lena found him in the hallway. You did great, she said. You've got a gift, Marcus. Never let anyone make you feel small again. But not everyone was thrilled with his rise. One of the senior engineers, Carl, had been with the company for over a decade. He'd watched Marcus climb in a matter of weeks, and it rubbed him the wrong way. He's unqualified. Carl whispered one day to a colleague. We don't even know if he's legit. What if he just got lucky that day? It wasn't long before Carl started challenging Marcus in meetings, nitpicking his suggestions, undercutting his comments with smug remarks. Marcus tried to ignore it. He focused on learning, improving, doing the work. But Lena noticed the tension. "Don't let it get to you," she told him. "Carl's threatened, that's all." Then one day, a critical system failed during a live test. Carl had overseen the component installation. The system didn't just crash. It nearly caused a fire. During the review, Carl tried to shift the blame. Marcus was the last one who touched that module. Marcus's stomach dropped. "I only adjusted the thermal limiters after your install," he said, "and I logged the changes." Lena pulled the log records. Everything Marcus had done was accounted for, correct, and the failure was traced directly to Carl's oversight. Carl was reprimanded. Marcus was cleared. After the meeting, Dana stopped Marcus in the hallway. "I trust your judgment," she said simply. Marcus felt the words hit something deep inside him. Trust wasn't something he'd known much of in workplaces before. It mattered. That night, Marcus called his mom. "Hey," he said, smiling. "I got some news." Marcus sat on the edge of his bed that night, his phone pressed to his ear as his mom's voice came through, warm and full of emotion. "Say that again, baby." I said, "They gave me a job, Ma. A real job. Engineering assistant. Benefits. Salary. And they're paying for me to finish school." There was a pause on the line, and then he heard it. His mother's soft sobs. "I always knew you were meant for something big. Always." "I just had to get lucky," Marcus said quietly. "No," she said firmly, her voice regaining strength. "You didn't get lucky. You were prepared. You just finally got seen." Marcus wiped his eyes and smiled. "I'll be home this weekend. Thought I'd cook you dinner." "I'd like that." The next day at the facility, Marcus arrived early. The corridors no longer felt foreign. The engineers nodded at him now. Some even came to him first with questions. Lena had asked him to join a special task force focused on redesigning the drone's real-time navigation systems. It was a huge responsibility, but Marcus wasn't intimidated anymore. He'd found his rhythm. That afternoon, Dana called him into her office. "Close the door," she said. "I've got something for you." He sat down, curious. "We just signed a new partnership with FEM," she explained. "They want Talon units ready for deployment in disaster zones by the end of the year. Search and rescue, flood zones, collapsed buildings." "That's amazing," Marcus said. "We're forming a leadership team for the production phase. Lena nominated you." Marcus's eyebrows rose. "Men. You," Dana confirmed. "You'd be shadowing the lead systems architect, helping with field simulations and data integration." "This is a step up, Marcus, a big one." He felt the weight of it sink in, but this time it wasn't fear. It was purpose. "I'll do it," he said. That week, Marcus got his first official badge with the title Engineering Associate. He texted a picture of it to his mom, who replied with a string of heart emojis and a message, "Your grandma would be so proud." But not everyone was thrilled to see him succeed. Carl's behavior grew colder, more passive-aggressive. One day, Marcus overheard him whispering to another employee, "He's a delivery boy playing dress-up." Marcus took a deep breath. He could confront him, or he could let his work speak louder. That decision came into play during the next round of stress testing. One of the prototype drones malfunctioned mid-flight and nearly crashed into a wall. Carl rolled his eyes. Looks like someone's fancy new code isn't bulletproof. But Marcus didn't flinch. He reviewed the data, calmly identified a power loop overflow, and rewrote the control script on the spot. The drone rebooted, hovered perfectly still, then executed the sequence flawlessly. Lena clapped from behind the glass. That's what leadership looks like. After the session, Carl didn't say a word, and he never challenged Marcus again. Weeks turned into months, and Marcus thrived. He started mentoring interns. He visited high schools to talk about STEM careers, especially in underserved communities. At one school, a young black student asked him, "Did you always want to be an engineer?" Marcus smiled. "I always wanted to solve problems. I just didn't always think I'd be allowed to." The student nodded slowly. "But you did it anyway." "Yeah," Marcus said. "I did." Then came the invitation that would mark a full-circle moment, a university gala celebrating local innovators in technology. Lena nominated Marcus to speak. He tried to decline. Public speaking wasn't his thing. But she insisted. "You fixed $1 million system in a moment of instinct. You belong on that stage." So he stood before a crowd of scholars, students, and industry leaders, hands slightly trembling but voice steady. "I was a delivery driver," he began, "and people saw me for that, and only that. What they didn't see was that I spent nights reading engineering papers, studying diagrams, fixing broken drones in my garage, all because I loved it, not because anyone told me I should, but because I knew what I could be, if given the chance." He paused, scanning the room. Everyone in this room knows what potential looks like. But what if that potential is wearing a uniform, or sweeping a floor, or fixing cars at a body shop? Are we looking closely enough to see them? Or are we too busy assuming? There was silence, then applause. Real, heartfelt applause. That night, Marcus returned home to a hot meal with his mom. They sat on the porch, watching the stars, quiet for a long time. "You proud of me, Ma?" he asked softly. She squeezed his hand. "You made a life out of something no one saw coming. I'm more than proud. I'm grateful." And she wasn't the only one. Marcus's story was shared internally across the company. Then it leaked to a few tech blogs. One article titled, "The Delivery Driver Who Fixed What 20 Engineers Couldn't," went viral. Suddenly, recruiters were emailing him. Schools wanted him to speak. Community centers reached out for workshops. And through it all, Marcus stayed the same. Focused, grounded, determined to never let. Where he started define where he was going. Because talent isn't always polished. Genius doesn't always wear a suit. And sometimes, the person you overlook ends up being the person who changes everything. If this story inspired you, even just a little, take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Lived Truths. Stories like this happen every day, and they deserve to be told. Your support helps us keep telling them. Because the truth, it lives in moments just like these.